Hi, my name is Mike. In my job I have to wear safety glasses, I have to wear ear defenders and sometimes some earplugs, which I have some here. These are earplugs you put into your ear. We'll also sometimes have to wear some ultraviolet glasses, which are protection from very bright lights, and also have to wear safety boots. The training I had to do to get my job role was initially I did a apprenticeship, a welding fabrication apprenticeship. It took 4 years, and I've done a lot of understanding of fabrication. So obviously after leaving the apprenticeship I went for a number of different companies, and they where I learned how to fabricate machine, do sheet metal work and put things together, and that is the practical side of the training. Obviously the other side will be the theory side, which I did at a later date. The length of time the training took was many years, because I had to go up a lot of levels, doing different colleges, universities and independent training schools, which some of my companies paid for. Others I had to pay separately and do outside of work, called distance learning. But I finished my education. The industry it fits into is engineering, all manufacturing engineering. So this could be from bridge manufacturers, structural steel, through to pressure vessels. They're big tanks, especially key at the moment through the COVID manufacture of liquid, because they're all manufactured in big vats. The big vats are all manufactured by the companies that I help and help with their processes, and also nuclear. So I work on some clients that are nuclear manufacturers of pressure vessels, also gas pipelines, through to pump valves, anything manufactured. How many people work at my company? The answer is none. I work for myself. I run my own business, consultancy engineering business, but that's not my job role. I used to work as an employee at different companies, some large companies, some small companies. They range from 20 employees to 500 employees, or even larger, some big global corporations. But 3 years ago I ventured out on my own, and now I run my own business. So do I line manage anyone? No. I might be potentially employing someone at the end of this year, I'm not sure yet, but at the moment it's just me. I manage myself, I have to organise my time, do all my accounts, all my everything to do with my company. Do I interact with anyone in the public? Yes, daily when I go out to clients. So my job role in my company means to say I visit a lot of clients, generally for the day. I also do presentations in the evening. I do presentations in my clients' premises. I also visit my clients' subcontractors. I audit them. I review what they can do and then produce a report to send them to whether they're acceptable to certain standards. I also do work for other companies. I write exams. I help with apprentices. I'm particularly keen with apprentices, particular apprenticeships. So I have a lot of interaction with the public. An object I use in my work when I visit clients and I have to do some testing is a thermometer. So this is a thermocouple. Basically you touch the surface and it gives you a precise reading of the temperature of that object. And this is quite important in certain aspects of what I do, because this relates to international standards and codes, which I deal a lot with. A task I do at work, where I visit some of my clients, especially new clients, I audit their systems. So I look at their welding and quality of manufacture systems all the way through from original contract review through to any subcontracting required, any manufacturing and inspection needed. There is a thing called a quality manual, which what that is a document which explains how the component's being built and also signs off if there are any hold points. A hold point is where a customer or client requests to witness something, so they either get independent inspectors in, or they come in themselves and witness a certain point, and that's what. So the manufacturer at that point cannot proceed until that whole point is signed off. They also do. I look at the quality system of the manufacturing through to, as I've just said, inspection prior to and after the components have been manufactured. Then I look at the machines they use to ensure they are calibrated. And what they are is any particular machines used for manufacture have to have a thing called calibration on a yearly basis, which checks that what the machine does is actually recorded correctly. So if it, say a welding machine, it has to produce 150 amps plus or minus 2% or 10% depending on the standard, then it checks that it's actually had that. And also they do a servicing and things like preventative maintenance. Same as you service a car, you've got to service a machine, otherwise they break down and it costs money. So obviously we don't want that. And the last part is obviously I write up the report and give either the client the report and give them an action list of how they can improve their process and system, or my client, because I'm auditing one of their subcontractors, to ensure that they're acceptable to the relevant code or standard. And again, they have an action list. Do I wear any uniform or PPE? The uniform, I've created my own logo, so I do wear a sort of uniform for my clients when I visit them. And PPE, when I go around a site, yes, I have to wear safety shoes, safety glasses, sometimes day glow cover vests, hard hats, whatever the client requires me to wear because I'm visiting their site. The travel associated with my job are, yes, I've travelled all through Britain. I've also travelled all through Europe and outside of Europe. I even did one audit in 2017 in China, which was interesting. A whole week going there, coming back. I did 2 days work, which was the audit, and all the other time was travelling and trying to recover from the time. But generally I do a lot of work in Europe, but also now a bit more focused in Britain, generally southern Britain. Okay. So in my role now, the 3 most important skills, it's not hands-on anymore, it's not fabrication what I used to do, it's words. I have to read a lot of international standards, American, European, so I have to understand the meaning and relate that to my client and explain to them what it means and get them to say, yes, this is acceptable to do this, but no, you can't do this. The next one obviously leads on to that is communications. Is communication with, whether it's a director, a quality manager, a welder, or any quality engineers, or any person I have to communicate to. They don't have quite the amount of knowledge that I have in my particular specialist area, and so I have to explain it to them what it means in reality, because they don't need to know all the standards. That's what I do, and then I have to relate to them saying, if someone does this, it means this, but if they do that, it means this, and one is acceptable and one is not. The last one is knowledge, which obviously leads on again, because I have to do a lot of reading and I have to understand. And it's not about knowing everything, because no one knows everything. It's about looking. It's about knowing where to look. So if I particularly have an area where a client's very unusual request, then I have to go away, investigate it, look it up, and then come back to them with either a solution or an explanation, depending on what is required of the client. What made me choose my career? It just flowed. I know that sounds a bit weird, but I flowed from being a practical person to learning a lot of theory, and then finding that not a lot of people know what I know, which is really good. So that's how I started my own company, because that means I'm not unique, but I am quite specialised in a field. So, have you guessed my job? You've most probably never even heard of it. Obviously it relates to welding, and I'm what's known as a welding engineer. I'm a consultant welding engineer. So what that means is I know a lot about the theory and technical aspects of welding. So to explain my previous answers, I started as a welder, found it really fascinating and wanted to learn lots and lots more, which I did. And now I go to companies and get them to understand how they can improve their processes and systems, where quality itself in companies, you may or may not have heard of an ISO 9001, which is a quality system for inputs and outputs, where I deal with another quality system which is interlinked with that one, which is about the welding standards and how to ensure that when something's welded, it doesn't blow up and kill people, because that's the bottom line. If a weld is not be welded correctly in a certain area or for parameters, positions, a lot of heat inputs, in other words the heat calculated for the actual weld, then things crack. When things crack, they expand, and when they expand, they blow up, and that kills people, and that's my job.